Hello everyone, a very good evening all of you. So today we are having a class in the evening. Am I audible to everyone? Can you hear me? Can I get a yes, no? Good evening all of you. Quickly join in so that we can start with the session. Good evening. Good evening, Tushita. So good to see you. You're so regular. Alright, so we are starting. Thank you so much. So we are starting with Hindu Marriage Act today. Alright. So we will try to cover some important points on Hindu Marriage Act, or some important concepts on Hindu Marriage Act. So today's topic, as you can see, is basically about what are the essentials of marriage, or I would say that what are the essentials of a valid marriage. Alright, but before that I would like to know that, tell me something that who is a Hindu? I'm sure आप सबने पढ़ा होगा, right? अगर हम हिंदू मैरिज एक्ट की बात कर रहे हैं, if we are talking about Hindu Marriage Act 1955, so we are dealing with the essentials of what are the essentials of marriage today. And of course, when we are talking about essentials of marriage, so here we are dealing with essentials of Hindu marriage. Alright, so if we are trying to understand the essentials of Hindu marriage, so what do you think is the first thing that we need to understand? What is the first thing you think is important to understand? See, in short, I'll let you know. जब हम हिंदू मैरिज एक्ट की हम बात कर रहे हैं, या हिंदू मैरिज एक्ट 1955 की हम बात कर रहे हैं, so we have to understand that this Hindu Marriage Act will apply on whom? Will apply on Hindus only. तो उसके लिए पहले हमें ये जानना ज़रूरी है कि हिंदूज कौन है, right? So quickly we will go into the section. कहीं पे ये दिया हुआ है? Is it given anywhere that who are Hindus? कहीं पे provided है? क्या कोई section बात करता है इसके बारे में? Can anyone tell me? Tushita or anybody, can you tell me that who is a Hindu? Yes, please. See, जब हम section 2 पढ़ते हैं, alright, when we read, let's talk about this. If you can see over here, when we read section 2 of your Hindu Marriage Act, so I'm writing it in short form, right? So when you read section 2 of Hindu Marriage Act, it talks about the application of the act. The main section जो है आपका, it talks about the application of the act. ये कहता है कि this act applies on, अगर आप subsection 1 पढ़ें, so what does it says? It says this act applies on. तो ये आपको बताता है कि ये act जो है इन लोगों पे apply होता है, और वो लोग कौन है? So this act applies on to any person who is a Hindu by religion in any of its form or development, or including Virashiva Lingayat, or a follower of Brahma Pratna or Arya Samaj, or to any person who is a Buddhist, Jain or Sikh by religion, or to any other person who is domiciled in the territories to which this act extends and who is not a Muslim, Christian, Parsi or Jew by religion. Unless and until कोई custom usage से आप prove कर सकें कि अगर ये act force में नहीं आया होता तो ये act उन पर apply नहीं होता और वो हिंदू नहीं होते. So the general section, it does not talks about कि who is a Hindu basically. ये आपको बताता है कि ये एक्ट किस पे अप्लाई होता है. बट जब आप एक्सप्लेनेशन पढ़ते हैं, सो एक्सप्लेनेशन से आपको पता चलता है, इट टेल्स यू दैट फॉलोइंग पर्सन्स आर हिंदूज, बुद्धिस्ट, जैन और सिख बाय रिलीजन. सो बेसिकली हिंदूज बाय बर्थ की ये बात करते हैं, हिंदू बाय कन्वर्जन भी हो सकते हैं. सो दे आर सेइंग दैट फॉलोइंग पर्सन्स आर, एक्सप्लेनेशन बताता है, हिंदूज, बुद्धिस्ट, जैन और सिख बाय रिलीजन एज द केस में भी, और वो कौन लोग हैं. सो ए सेज एनी चाइल्ड लेजिटिमेट और इलेजिटिमेट, बोथ ऑफ हिज पेरेंट्स आर हिंदूज, बुद्धिस्ट, जैन और सिख बाय रिलीजन. अगर कोई चाइल्ड है लेजिटिमेट और इलेजिटिमेट, ऑलराइट, ठीक है, अगर इफ देयर इज अ चाइल्ड हु इज लेजिटिमेट और इलेजिटिमेट, सो बोथ ऑफ हिज पेरेंट्स, if they are Hindu, Buddhist, Jain or Sikh by religion, then in that particular case the person will be considered to be a Hindu, Buddhist, Jain or Sikh by religion. इससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता whether the child is legitimate or illegitimate. All right, first thing. या फिर if any one of the parent is a Hindu, Buddhist, Jain or Sikh by religion, all right, doesn't matter whether the child is legitimate or illegitimate, and the child has been brought up as a member of that particular tribe, community, group or family to which the parents belong, that is as a Hindu, Buddhist, Jain or Sikh by religion, right? And then any person who is a convert or reconvert to Hindu, Buddhist, Jain or Sikh by religion, or this is about conversion. So if somebody has converted to a Hinduism, Buddhist, Sikh or Jain religion, or if someone is a reconvert, for example, पहले कन्वर्ट किया हिंदू रिलीजन में, ठीक है, फिर उसके बाद दोबारा से किसी और रिलीजन में कन्वर्ट कर लिया, वापस से फिर आप हिंदू में, बुद्धिस्ट होने में या सिख रिलीजन में कन्वर्ट कर रहे हो, सो देन यू बिकम अ रिकन्वर्ट. सो इन ऑल दीज केसेस यू आर कंसिडर्ड टू बी अ हिंदू. सो दिस इज इन शॉर्ट बेसिकली कि हिंदूज कौन होते हैं. हिंदूज बाय बर्थ हो सकते हैं, हिंदूज बाय कन्वर्जन भी हो सकते हैं. Now, when you read section 5, please come to section 5 of your Hindu Marriage Act. All right. When you read section 5, ठीक है, so it is section 5 which tells you, the conditions for a Hindu marriage. जिसे हमने essentials लिखा है, ठीक है, that is a conditions for a Hindu marriage. All right. Now let's read that. What does it says? So what is the heading? Conditions for a Hindu marriage. ठीक है, conditions for a Hindu marriage. ठीक है. So what does it says? It says a marriage may be solemnized between any two Hindus if the following conditions are fulfilled. So before even we read, section 5, what is the first thing that is important? It says a marriage may be solemnized between any two Hindus. So in order to apply section 5, what is the first requirement? The first requirement is that both the parties should be Hindus. Both the parties need to be Hindus. All right. Fine. Both the parties need to be Hindus. Then one more thing which is to be pointed out, and that will help us in relating to another section. उस पे मैं बाद में आऊँगी. ये solemnized word पे मैं बाद में आऊँगी. So I am leaving it over here. Just I am writing the word solemnized and I am leaving it over here. Okay, I'll come to that. So it says that a marriage may be solemnized between any two Hindus if the following conditions are fulfilled. Now, what are those conditions that are to be fulfilled in order for two Hindus to get married? Let's see. Okay, so it says neither party has a spouse living at the time of the marriage. मतलब, right? Clause 1 says कि दोनों में से किसी भी स्पाउस के, दोनों में से किसी भी पार्टी के पास, वेदर अ गर्ल और अ बॉय, दोनों में से किसी भी पार्टी के पास जो है जनरली, ठीक है, कोई भी स्पाउस लिविंग नहीं होना चाहिए. दैट मीन्स इट शुड नॉट बी अ बाइगेमस रिलेशन. व्हाट इज सेक्शन 5 और व्हाट इज हिंदू मैरिज एक्ट प्रमोटिंग इज मोनोगैमी. ऑलराइट, द आइडिया इज ऑफ मोनोगैमी, राइट? One wife, one husband. basically. So what does it says? It says neither party, no party should have a spouse living. There is no problem in getting remarried, but जब आप शादी कर रहे हैं उस वक्त कोई भी स्पाउस आपका लिविंग नहीं होना चाहिए. So no party should have a spouse living. Clear? So उस वक्त जो है कोई स्पाउस लिविंग नहीं होना चाहिए. फर्स्ट थिंग. सेकेंड, वो क्या कह रहे हैं? एट द टाइम ऑफ मैरिज. अच्छा, इसमें थोड़ा सा डिटेल में जाते हैं. चलो लेट्स डिस्कस दिस पॉइंट. सो नो पार्टी शुड हैव अ स्पाउस लिविंग. सो अगर इफ अ पर्सन मैरीज, marries with another person at the lifetime of spouse which is there or who is there, so what will happen? अगर आप दूसरी शादी करते हो स्पाउस के, हस्बैंड या वाइफ के जीवित रहते हुए, तो हम उसे क्या कहेंगे? हम उसे बाइगमी कहेंगे. सो व्हाट विल हैपन? व्हाट विल बी द लीगल इम्प्लीकेशन ऑफ द मैरिज? क्या होगा फिर? क्या ये मैरिज, ये जो दूसरी शादी है, ठीक है, क्योंकि स्पाउस लिविंग है फिर भी आपने दूसरी शादी की है, सो क्या होगा इस मैरिज का? क्या ये वैलिड मैरिज है? What is the repercussion? What is the legal consequence? बताइए, क्या लगता है आपको क्या होगा? It will be a bigamy, right? It will be a bigamy. So it will be a what? It will be a void marriage. It will be a void marriage, ठीक है, by virtue of सेक्शन 11 ऑफ योर हिंदू मैरिज एक्ट. ठीक है, सेक्शन 11 ऑफ योर हिंदू मैरिज के हिसाब से ये क्या होगा? ये वॉइड मैरिज होगा. इट विल नॉट बी अ वैलिड मैरिज, इट विल बी अ वॉइड मैरिज. बिकॉज सेक्शन 11 जब हम पढ़ते हैं तो सेक्शन 11 में 3 ग्राउंड्स दिए हुए हैं, उसमें एक ग्राउंड्स ये है, ठीक है. व्हाट आर द 3 ग्राउंड्स? दैट बाइगमी, सपिंडा एंड प्रोहिबिटेड रिलेशनशिप. ठीक है, इफ यू कॉन्ट्रावीन दीज कंडीशंस देन द मैरिज दैट हैपेंस इज अ वॉइड मैरिज. ऑलराइट, उस मैरिज को हम वॉइड मैरिज कहते हैं. ठीक है, फाइन, वेरी गुड ऑल ऑफ यू. नाउ द पॉइंट इज दैट व्हेन यू से दैट इट इज अ वॉइड मैरिज, इसके अलावा और कुछ है, और कोई लीगल इम्प्लीकेशन है इसका? इसके साथ हम कोई और सेक्शन पढ़ते हैं, कहीं कोई पनिशमेंट प्रोवाइडेड है? इज इट प्रोवाइडेड एनीवेयर? सो इसके साथ हम पढ़ते हैं क्या? इसके साथ हम पढ़ते हैं सेक्शन 17. व्हाट डू वी रीड? वी रीड सेक्शन 17. व्हाट डज सेक्शन 17 सेज? ओपन सेक्शन 17 ऑल ऑफ यू. व्हाट डज सेक्शन 17 सेज? राइट, सो सेक्शन 17 टॉक्स अबाउट द punishment for bigamy. Section 17 talks about the punishment for bigamy. और कितनी punishment provided है वहाँ पे? So वो कहते हैं if there has any marriage between two Hindus solemnized after the commencement of this act. इस act के आने के बाद, मतलब 18 मई 1955. कब आया है ये act force में? 18 मई 1955. So any marriage between two Hindus solemnized after the commencement of this act is void. वो void है if at the date of such marriage either party has a husband or wife living, and the provisions of, what provisions of? Section 494 and 495 of IPC will apply. Section 494 and 495 of IPC apply करेगा. ठीक है, क्या मतलब इसका? What is section 494 of Indian Penal Code? So section 494 of Indian Penal Code provides you the punishment for marrying again during the lifetime of husband or wife. ठीक है, matrimonial offences में आता है. ठीक है, so it talks about if someone marries again in the lifetime of the husband or the wife, then in that particular case, what is the punishment? The punishment is 7 years plus fine. ठीक, 7 years plus फाइन. ऑल्सो इन 495, ठीक है, व्हाट इज 495? अगर इसी ऑफेंस को, इसी बाइगमी को आप कंसील करके अगर कर रहे हो, इफ यू कंसील इट फ्रॉम द अदर स्पाउस, you are hiding this information from the other spouse and then you are marrying the other person. अगर आप छुपा के शादी कर रहे हो स्पाउस से, ठीक है, सो जो subsequent marriage जो है आपने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किया है, सो अगेन दैट मैरिज इज गोइंग टू बी void. And what is the punishment over there? That is 10 years plus fine. Alright? So सेक्शन 5 समझने वाली बात यह है, सेक्शन 5 क्लॉज 1 के साथ, ठीक है, हम सेक्शन 11 पढ़ते हैं, सेक्शन 17 पढ़ते हैं, एंड ये सारे प्रोविजंस को साथ में रखते हुए देन वी रीच टू अ पर्टिकुलर कंक्लूजन कि व्हाट इज द लीगल इम्प्लीकेशन विद रिस्पेक्ट टू दिस पर्टिकुलर कंडीशन. नो व्हाट इज द सेकेंड ग्राउंड? आई एम इरेजिंग दिस. द सेकेंड ग्राउंड सेज, जो आपका सेक्शन 5 क्लॉज 2 में प्रोवाइडेड है, what does it says? It says neither party, ये तो हो गया, at the time of marriage neither party is incapable of giving a valid consent to it in consequence of unsoundness of mind, or though capable of giving a valid consent has been suffering from mental disorder of such kind or to such an extent as to be unfit for marriage and the procreation of children. All right? और हैज़ बीन सब्जेक्ट टू रेकरेंट अटैक्स ऑफ इंसैनिटी. ये जो 3C में दिया हुआ है, यहाँ पे पहले वर्ड एपिलेप्सी लिखा हुआ था, दैट हैज़ बीन ओमिटेड बाय द अमेंडमेंट ऑफ 1999. सो ये बात याद रखिएगा, कई बार आपके प्रिलिमिनरी में पूछ लेते हैं. सो एपिलेप्सी वर्ड इज नॉट देयर एनी मोर. ऑलराइट, सो व्हाट इज इट सेइंग कि I'll read from beginning that a marriage may be solemnized between any two Hindus if the following conditions are fulfilled, namely at the time of marriage, शादी के वक्त, what is important? It is at the time of marriage, शादी के वक्त, ना उससे पहले ना उससे बाद में, ठीक है. At the time of marriage, neither party, दोनों में से कोई भी, exactly, alright, neither party, so competency of parties, हाँ वो इंडियन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट पूरा आ जाएगा, बट देन वहाँ पे जो है यू नो कॉम्पिटेंसी ऑफ पार्टीज में बहुत सारी चीज़ें आती हैं, ठीक है. मेजर साउंड माइंड एंड नॉट डिक्लेयर्ड बाय लॉ, राइट. बट द पॉइंट इज दैट यहाँ पे आप क्रिमिनल को भी रोक नहीं सकते, शादी करने से तो नहीं रोक सकते, ठीक है. सो हम पूरी तरीके से ये वर्ड इन अ सेंस, इन दैट पर्टिकुलर सेंस हमें नहीं यूज़ करना चाहिए. नाउ सो व्हाट इट इज सेइंग इज दैट एट द टाइम ऑफ मैरिज, सो neither of the party should be incapable of giving a valid consent. So that means condition क्या है? Condition ये है कि at the time of marriage the party should be capable of giving a valid consent to it in so the party should be of a sound mind basically. Why sound mind? Because if the party is of sound mind, so the party will be able to give a valid consent. Basically valid consent is important. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि बिकॉज ऑफ अनसाउंडनेस ऑफ माइंड द पार्टी इज इनकेपेबल ऑफ गिविंग अ वैलिड कंसेंट. सो दिस फैक्टर शुड बी एब्सेंट. दैट इज व्हाट इट इज सेइंग. सेकेंडली इट इज सेइंग कि ठीक है, मान लो कंसेंट तो दे दिया, लेट्स सपोज द पार्टी इज गिविंग एबल टू गिव अ वैलिड कंसेंट, ऑलराइट, बट द पार्टी इज सफरिंग फ्रॉम सच काइंड ऑफ अ मेंटल डिसऑर्डर where it will be difficult for the party to be unfit for the marriage or the procreation of children. So two things, because of mental disorder, or I would say unsoundness of mind word use किया है, so let's use that only. Because of unsoundness of mind, because of unsound mind, this should be absent. So I'm putting a cross over here. Not able to give valid consent. Not able to give valid consent. All right. Right? Not able to give valid consent. First thing. Second, even if let's suppose, so you also know there is a concept of lucid interval in contract as well, in your Indian Contract Act as well, that at the time of entering into contract आप देखते हो, the person might be suffering with some kind of problem, but then if at the time of entering into contract the person is able to judge, or form a rational judgment in his own interest, then the person can enter into contract. So यहाँ पे इसीलिए ये word important हो जाता है at the time of marriage. So even if the party is able to, give a valid consent, party is giving valid consent, party is giving valid consent, all right, but the party is suffering with some issue, some mental disorder that unfit for marriage, that the party is unfit for marriage or procreation of children. Sorry, it's and procreation of children. Okay? So the insanity or the unsoundness of mind is of such a level that, okay, fine, at the time of marriage he is able to give the valid consent or she is able to give the valid consent, but the party is unfit for marriage or procreation of children. Now that is an issue. Alright? That is the issue. Right? And then thirdly, third category of insanity over here is that the party has been subject to recurrent attacks of insanity at regular intervals. Recurrent attacks of insanity. Some seizures, some, effect, anything. Alright? So all these conditions should not exist. They should not exist at the time of marriage. That is what has to be ensured. Alright? That is what has to be ensured. Now what happens? What happens if these conditions are violated? Tell me something. What will happen if these conditions which is mentioned in 5.2 is violated? Then let's deal it here only. My question to you is, if 5.2 is violated, if these conditions are violated, what will happen? What will the legal implication of marriage? Is it a valid marriage? Or is it a void marriage? Or is it a voidable marriage? What is the recourse available to party? Absolutely right. So it is a voidable marriage under section 12. That's what you have to remember. It is valid till the time it is avoided by the party. But once it is declared to be voidable, then, alright, you can get it annulled. Alright, it shall be voidable and may be annulled by a decree of nullity. Fine. So what will be the implication? The implication will be that if these conditions are contravened, then in that particular case, it will be a voidable marriage. Okay. Then further, let's see another ground quickly. Alright. What are the other grounds? So the other grounds say that exactly at the option of the other party. Absolutely. Of course, at the option of the other party. The party cannot take his or her own advantage, of his own fault. So of course, at the option of the other party. Then the third condition or the third clause says that the bridegroom should have completed the age of 21 years. So bridegroom, I am writing BG over here. Alright, 21 years. And the bride, 18 years. Okay? What will happen? What will happen if this condition is violated? What will happen under Hindu law if this condition related to age is violated under Hindu Marriage Act? So what is going to happen? Bataiye. Anybody? Quickly. I need an answer quickly. Will it be a valid marriage? Will it be a void marriage? Will it be a voidable marriage? Is it voidable? Is it a ground for voidable marriage under Hindu Marriage Act 1955? Yes, please. See, Hindu Marriage Act does not talk about, that such marriages will be invalid marriages. The marriage subsists, absolutely. The marriage subsists. Hindu Marriage Act does not talk about that such marriages will be invalid marriages or void marriages or voidable marriages. Alright, it can be a voidable marriage under the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act. Alright, that is under Prohibition of Child Marriage Act. Alright, but Hindu Marriage Act does not consider it as such a marriage. It is a valid marriage particularly. But yes, what is the repercussion? The repercussion is it is punishable. If this condition is violated, okay, if this condition is violated, it is punishable. Where it is punishable? Under section 18, under section 18, if I am not wrong, A. Let's check that. Alright, under section 18A, which says that if these conditions are violated, then in that particular case a rigorous imprisonment was, and this is done in order to bring it in line with the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act, right? So rigorous imprisonment of 2 years and fine up to 1 lakh rupees, or both. Fine up to 1 lakh rupees or both. ठीक है? So this is punishable under your Hindu Marriage Act itself. Under section 18A, Hindu Marriage Act talks about it. Clear? Fine. Now let's move on to the other grounds. What are the other grounds? So 4 and 5. 4 says, the parties are not within the degrees of prohibited relationship unless the custom or usage governing each of them permits of a marriage between the two. So what is one of the condition? So the parties should not be, parties should not be in a prohibited degree of relationship. In prohibited degrees of relationship. ठीक? This is one condition. Now, where is prohibited degree of relationship defined? Anybody? Can anyone tell me where is prohibited degree of relationship defined? So let's see section 3 and G. Alright? Section 3G says, what is the degree of prohibited relationship? So basically, if we read that, we get to know that 2 persons are said to be within the degrees of prohibited relationship if they are lineal ascendant. 2 persons lineal ascendant, one after the other, or of the other. If A is a lineal ascendant of the other, so then in that particular case, there are 2 people, A and B is here, and A is here. Sorry, A is here and B is here. Let's suppose this, alright? So A is what? A is the lineal ascendant of the other. Can you see this? A and B? I'll write again. A is the linear ascendant of the other. That means A is the ascendant of B. Alright. So 2 persons are said to be within the degrees of prohibited relationship if one is a lineal ascendant of the other, or if one was wife or husband of a lineal ascendant or descendant of the other. So A is wife or husband, alright. B is wife or husband. If one was the wife of the brother or of the father or mother, any relation, okay, their father's or mother's wife or husband, or their brother's wife or husband, if 2 are the brother and sister, uncle and niece, aunt and nephew, or children of brother and sister of 2 brothers or 2 sisters. So bhai behan, chacha bhatiji, alright, mama bhanji, all these kinds of relationship, bua, okay, so all these kinds of relationship, then so that falls under, if you are in that category of lineal ascendancy or descendancy, any husband and wife related to them, so they all, and in relationship coming out of them, so they will be in that degree of prohibited relationship. That is what section 3G says. ठीक है? Then but अगर वहाँ पे भी there is a rider कि अगर custom or usage apply करता है, तो then in that particular case, if there is a custom or usage, तब शादी हो सकती है. There can be a marriage. But if the custom and usage does not apply, and still you are in a prohibited degree of relationship, and still you get married, so what will happen? What kind of marriage is that? क्या होगा इसका legal implication? बताइए. What will be the legal implication of this? It will be a void marriage. Where provided? Void marriage provided under section 11. ठीक है? Is there any punishment provided to it? Yes, there is a punishment provided to it. Where? Punishment under Section 18B. What is the punishment? Simple imprisonment. Alright, simple imprisonment for 1 month, fine 1,000, fine 1,000 both. ठीक है, simple imprisonment for 1 month, fine 1,000 both. That is what is provided. Now similarly, the case of sapindas are also dealt with. That I'll just write down. So 5 talks about that one of the condition is that the parties should not be sapindas of each other. Parties, which parties? Parties who are getting married. Alright? Not to be sapindas. Not to be sapindas. They are not supposed to be sapindas of each other. ठीक है? Fine? But still, if the customer usage provides for, if the customer usage, अगर customer usage आपको ये permission देता है कि ठीक है sapindas की आपस में शादी हो सकती है two Hindus की, then in that particular case the custom and usage के हिसाब से शादी हो सकती है, वो शादी valid होगी. But वो customer usage आपको prove करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है? That has to be proved in the court of law. अब sapinda कहाँ पे दिया हुआ है? sapinda दिया हुआ है section 3F, you know, section 3F में क्या कहता है ये? First part only we will understand and you know our purpose will be done. So it says sapinda's relationship with reference to any person extends as far as third generation inclusive. So if A is a person, हमें इसे count करना है कि ये sapinda में आता है कि नहीं आता है. So third generation inclusive A1, A2, ठीक है? In the line of ascent through mother. So mother की side से these people will be included in sapindas. Alright? अगर हमें A के लिए count करना है so these people will be included in sapindas. Father के side से it is a 5 degree line of ascent. Alright? So if A is there, इसको मैं यहाँ बनाती हूँ. So if A का हमें count करना है कि whether A is in the category of sapinda or not. So A के ऊपर A1, alright. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I should count like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is from the side of father. So these all, including A, they will be called as what? They will be called as sapindas. These all, including A, they will be called as sapindas from mother's side. These all, including A, will be called as sapindas from father's side. अच्छा, custom and usage कहाँ पे defined है? कहीं दिया हुआ है? ठीक है? Section 3A में देख लीजिएगा एक बार कि what is the meaning of custom and usage. Alright? So again, तो अगर आप sapinda हैं, इनमें से कोई category है और फिर भी आप शादी कर लेते हैं, so what will happen if you contravene this? So is it a valid, and if the custom and usage also does not allow, so is it a valid marriage? No, it is a void marriage. By virtue of which section? Section 11. ठीक? Section 11 इसके बारे में बात करता है. ठीक है? That it is a void marriage. So no legal implication, no right and obligation will arise. No legal implication between husband and wife will follow. ठीक है? Children की बात अलग है, वो में देखेंगे. But no legal implication generally follows. Alright? Between the husband and the wife. And क्या ये punishable है? Same. जहाँ पे prohibited degree punishable है. So section 18 का B. ठीक है? Section 18 का B. Prohibited जहाँ पे punishable है वहीं पे same punishment है. Simple imprisonment for 1 month and fine 1,000. Clear? Is it clear? ठीक है? So ये कुछ आपके grounds हैं which are supposed to be there ठीक है, ये कुछ आपके ग्राउंड्स हैं विच आर सपोज टू बी देयर इन ऑर्डर टू हैव अ वैलिड हिंदू मैरिज. सो पहला कंडीशन क्या, लेकिन उससे सबसे पहले इंपॉर्टेंट क्या है कि द पीपल नीड्स टू बी हिंदूज. द मैरिज कैन, हिंदू मैरिज एक्ट अप्लाइज ओनली ऑन टू पार्टीज हु आर हिंदूज. अगर आप अगर आप हिंदू हैं या you belong to another religion, for example if you belong to Muslim religion, so then in that particular case the Hindu Marriage Act will not apply on you. If you want to go for a registered marriage, so that is a civil marriage जिसे हम कहते हैं, so Special Marriage Act will be applicable. Special Marriage Act 1954 will be applicable. All right, now I told you one thing जो कि मैंने कहा था कि मैंने लास्ट के लिए छोड़ दिया था कि अभी आप ये पढ़ेंगे, या तो आप सेक्शन 5 पढ़ेंगे या सेक्शन 11 पढ़ेंगे या 12 पढ़ेंगे. सो ऑल द टाइम you will get a word solemnized. All right, that means a marriage needs to be solemnized. Even in section 5, when you read section 5, so the word that is used here is, it says a marriage may be solemnized. Solemnized. What is the meaning of this solemnized? That means when you say solemnized, so that means this is also one of the condition of Hindu marriage. ये भी एक तरह का condition है Hindu marriage का. Alright, अगर ये solemnized नहीं हुआ तो हम इसका मतलब अगर marriage solemnized नहीं हुआ तो इसका legal implication इस level तक जा सकता है कि it is honest in the eyes of law. ये law की नज़र में exist ही नहीं करता. फिर वैलिड की कोई बात ही नहीं है, वॉइड की कोई बात ही नहीं है, वॉइडेबल की कोई बात ही नहीं है. अगर वो सॉलमनाइज ही नहीं हुआ है, सॉलमनाइज मतलब द मैरिज नीड्स टू बी सेलिब्रेटेड. इफ द मैरिज इज नॉट सेलिब्रेटेड, इफ द मैरिज इज नॉट सॉलमनाइज, एंड इन दैट पर्टिकुलर केस इट विल नॉट बी कंसिडर्ड टू बी अ मैरिज एट ऑल. सो वेयर इज दिस सॉलमनाइज्ड thing provided? Let's read section 7. What does it says? It says, alright, what does it talk about? It talks about ceremonies for a Hindu marriage. So हर marriage में कोई ना कोई ceremonies होती है. The marriage needs to be celebrated. Alright, the marriage needs to be performed. Fine. So हर marriage में कुछ ना कुछ ceremonies होती हैं, चाहे वो कोई भी ceremony हो. That ceremony needs to be followed. That is what it is saying. So section 7 says that ceremonies for a Hindu marriage. A Hindu marriage, subsection 1, may be solemnized in accordance with the customary rites and ceremonies of either party thereto. अगर आप चाहते हैं कि marriage solemnized हो, so what is to be done? So the marriage needs to be solemnized in accordance with what? In accordance with customary rites and ceremonies of either party, दोनों में से किसी भी एक पार्टी, because both the parties are Hindu, right? Of either party thereto, दोनों ही पार्टी हिंदू हैं. So दोनों में से किसी भी एक पार्टी, दोनों में से किसी भी एक पार्टी का कोई भी कस्टमरी राइट्स या सेरेमनी, अगर दोनों का परफॉर्म हो रहा है बहुत, और दोनों की एक ही सेरेमनी है तो और भी अच्छी बात है, ठीक है, तो वहाँ कोई कन्फ्यूजन नहीं है. दोनों में से किसी भी एक पार्टी का कोई भी कस्टमरी राइट या सेरेमनी अगर परफॉर्म हो रहा है, देन इट विल बी सेड दैट अ मैरिज इज सॉलमनाइज्ड. राइट, अब वो कुछ भी हो सकता है, वो एक्सचेंज ऑफ गार्लैंड हो सकता है, वो सप्तपदी हो सकता है, वो आनंद कारज हो सकता है, वो कुछ भी हो सकता है. और उसी का एग्जाम्पल जो है आपके सब सेक्शन 2 में दिया हुआ है. ये मैंडेटरी नहीं है, आप एग्जाम में गलत करके आ जाते हैं. आपसे प्रिलिमिनरी में हर बार ये पूछा जाता है कि क्या सप्तपदी हिंदू मैरिज के लिए मैंडेटरी है. नहीं, ये मैंडेटरी नहीं है. बट जहाँ पे एज अ हर हिंदू मैरिज के लिए इट इज़ नॉट अ मैंडेटरी, बट जिस फैमिली में या कम्युनिटी में या जहाँ पे भी सप्तपदी परफॉर्म किया जाता है, तो वो उसका एग्जाम्पल दे रहे हैं कि सप्तपदी भी एक सेरेमनी है, एक तरह का सेरेमनी है, एक तरह का कस्टमरी राइट है जिससे आप मैरिज को सॉलमनाइज कर सकते हो. एंड द मोमेंट यू टेक द 7th स्टेप, सो द मैरिज गेट्स कंप्लीटेड. सो आपको बस वो एक एग्जाम्पल दे रहा है यहाँ पे. वो आपसे ये नहीं कह रहा कि हिंदू मैरिज में जो है वो सप्तपदी मैंडेटरी है और वो होना ही होना चाहिए. नहीं, लेट्स रीड. See, the section starts with the word, the provision start with the words where such rites and ceremonies include सप्तपदी. जहाँ पे वो जो rites and ceremonies हैं वो सप्तपदी include करते हैं, यानी कि सप्तपदी मतलब जो आग के चारों तरफ आप जो है वो 7 स्टेप्स लेते हो, ठीक है. So that is the taking of 7 steps by the bridegroom and the bride jointly before the sacred fire. ठीक. The marriage becomes complete and binding when the 7th step is taken. तो हम उसको ऐसे समझ सकते हैं कि the moment the ceremony is completed, so वो marriage जो है वो complete और binding हो गया. तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल उसके बाद जैसे सिंदूर दान होता है, बहुत सारे सेरेमनीज एंड कस्टम्स होते हैं. तो जहाँ पे भी वो सेरेमनी परफॉर्म हो गया, जहाँ पे भी वो सेरेमनी कंप्लीट हो गई, तो हम ये समझेंगे कि द मैरिज हैज़ बीन solemnized. Alright, the marriage has been performed, the marriage has been celebrated. Is it clear with everyone? Alright, so these are the conditions along with the relevant provisions that you need to read in order to understand that what are the essentials of a valid Hindu marriage. ठीक है. So this is just giving you an example of Saptapadi. Right? Any doubt? Any question? So section 5, section 7, section 11, section 12, section 18, section 17, 3G, 3F, 3A and also section 2. इतने सारे sections पढ़े हैं हमने. Right? So if you are new to the channel, please subscribe to it and like it and and hit the bell icon so that whenever there is any update, you get to know about it. And let me know how you like the session in your comment box and if you want me to help you out with any other topic. So आज से हमने हिंदू मैरिज एक्ट शुरू किया है. कल हम एक दूसरा टॉपिक जो है वो हिंदू मैरिज एक्ट का डिस्कस करेंगे. So till then, take care all of you and good night and thank you for joining in. And if you really find this session helpful, so share it with your friends and let them also join in so that we can have more such sessions. So thank you so much all of you. Take care. Bye bye. Good night.